Biofriendly podcast. It's the Biofriendly podcast.
Do I sound...
You sound glorious.
Glorious.
And beyond
So
sounding
handsome.
glorious.
So glorious.
You're so handsome and so glorious, and you beat me to it because I was going to say it is so good to see your face.
Yes! I can't believe you're so beautiful and you're so clear. So you're obviously in a really good internet space.
I am. There's been so much toggling to figure out where the perfect zone in my home is for internet. And I found it.
You found it.
The only thing is I can't move 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right, or it's all gone.
That's amazing. Hey, how do I count? Oh, now we're both on there. Good. I can see both of us now.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you went to the gallery view, didn't you?
I did it. And now I'm at full screen.
You are full screen.
I'm full screen. All right, let me just check it to make sure we're still recording. Oh, we are totally recording.
Oh, we're recording, and it's going to be great.
This whole time.
You guys, this is the Biofriendly podcast is still here. It doesn't mean we don't have to figure out what in the world we're doing when we're not in our comfortable green background studio space, and instead we're talking to you guys from home. So we have to do all these tricks.
Did you press the record button on the face?
I sure did.
You see, so I don't even worry about record button.
You've got it. I've got it. It's
my gosh.
Done.
My gosh.
This is for the Biofriendly podcast going forward. Like, all you have to do is click on, and it's done.
I do is click on. I hit record, and then wait, and then on, and then I wait. This is good.
This is good.
So if you haven't noticed, I have artwork on the wall.
What does it say?
It says Dad.
Dad.
Yeah, it's reversed though because we're recording from.
Yeah.
That was made.
No, the program flipped it around.
What?
To me it looks like.
So for me it's reverse. So maybe I should be pressing record in case you put something up, because for you it's going to look reverse. We should test this. You should write something down, hold it over the screen, and say, "Is this happening?" Anyway, so it says Dad. This was made by my son years ago.
Yeah.
I'm in my bedroom. My wife's going to get a murder when she sees the podcast.
No, it's okay because the rule is you can't broadcast the bedroom. You only show the space
this
that you're
square
in.
And this one part of the pillow and the painting for proof. Artwork for proof. So that's my son's artwork from many, many years ago that I hung up with Scotch tape. And It has been there for years and I've never taken it down. And the rest of the wall is like it's artful and great, but this is mostly artful because I need to know that my son loves me, so that's why
I love it. And I actually think that there's a new fun activity that we can do while we do these remote podcasts, which is let's find more unique things to put in our backgrounds.
Oh my God, that's great. That is great. I love that.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of my son, in order to make the system work, I needed headphones, but I'm on quarantine. I don't know if anybody knew this. We're all under quarantine right now.
This is news to me. I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah. So to just run out and get some headphones right now is a little more complicated than it normally would be. Right. We have ordered some supplies that are coming. You'll see fancier microphones. I don't know where I'm going to put the fancy microphone, but we have it.
Right on your chest. You're going to have it right on your chest.
A mounting system. Yeah. But the headphones, if you notice, are quite tiny around my ears, and that's because they're my son's headphones.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah. I love them. Yeah. I have a wireless pair that I made sure that I had here at the house. So
you look so professional.
I feel so free. Oh no, I lost all my internet.
Don't move. If you move, we can't see you if you move. It's the opposite.
No. It's the opposite.
Or is it the same?
Jurassic Park.
That's the opposite. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
So we're for listeners of the show, the audio it's gonna be a little different because Noel and I are working on getting some microphones at home because our whole setup is at our studio space and we can't go get that right now. We're working from home. So over time, we'll get better at this. So we're recording from our laptops, and we're recording on a software called Zoom, where he can see me, I can see him.
We can see each other.
I'm going to upload this to YouTube, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
We're thinking it might be easier, at least in the post department, than the post-production, right?
I think so.
I'll send. Oh, I forgot to clap. I'm going to clap. Oh, see, the claps are so that people know so we can sync our audio because audio is on the GarageBand and our video.
Although I screwed it up because I clapped.
You clapped
right when you did.
Enjoy that challenge. I'm not clapping again. That's the only clap you get, Jacob. That's it.
That's fine. Well, we're using Zoom. We're zooming. We're zooming. And Zoom apparently will only let you record for 40 minutes. So this is going to be the podcast constraint that will be like, clock's ticking. We got to wrap it up. So
I love it.
We'll dive into today's topic.
We have a topic?
Yes, we do have a topic because what I thought we'd do is on our Thursday show, we would still do like what people are used to, talk about things and environmental and whatnot. But today's topic is going to open that subject matter to an even wider scope. And I'm excited about that.
Widen it, baby. And then for our additional content, we're still kind of like exploring, like, what are we going to do? What are going to be the fun things that we're going to bring to the listeners now? We're going to do a lot of this. We're going to do a lot of dancing. Yeah.
But today's subject is going to be about the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
My gosh, that's terrific. That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I realized that we, over the course of the past year, and I'm pretty sure our podcast has been on for 1 year now. Isn't that amazing?
What?
1 year. Yeah,
really?
I'm pretty sure. Yes. I wish I had thought to look up the date right before we began, but I remember we launched the podcast at the end of March of last year. So this could be our anniversary for all I know.
I mean, if this one doesn't go to the Smithsonian, then I don't know what will.
What I love is you still messed up the phrasing of the Smithsonian, just like I did.
We have to. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? We're going to do the Sustainable Development Goals. We've talked about it a lot over the past year.
We have. We love them.
I don't think we've ever done an episode that was like, hey, by the way, let's break these down for you.
Where we actually dive into all 17 and just like just open it up.
Yeah, so I feel like our listeners this whole time have just been playing along. Like we keep talking about the SDGs and they're like, right, totally.
Yeah, no, I know the SDGs. I'm up with it.
I totally know those. Like I'm a Cub Scout pack leader, but I still can never remember the Scout oath. Like every time we do it, I'm like, on my honor, do my duty.
My duty
like
to please that. No, that's not. That's not the Scout oath. People, don't listen to what I said. That's a bleep the whole.
No, you're fine. I'd say on quarantine rules, it's like, hey, man, just let it be.
Whatever happens, happens. Also, if you notice, every time I laugh, my whole camera will shake because the laptop that I'm recording on is on my legs. And so I laugh. So if you're wondering, anytime I move, anytime I kick, anytime I bounce, boom, right on. It's good. It's good shake.
I think it'll be a thing that people grow to love on the show. Well, the Sustainable Development Goals, you are pretty well versed in them. I have them all right here in front of me.
I took a course in them.
Okay.
Not only that, I took the course in Spanish.
You did?
I did. Isn't that crazy?
You don't even speak Spanish.
I'm okay. I speak a fair amount of Spanish.
You do.
Yeah. We went down to Guzman near Guadalajara, Mexico, when we launched our zero waste facility, and they did a full week-long Sustainable Development Goals training. And
that is so cool.
We went down there and did that. Yeah, but we're going to do one also in Portuguese in a little bit, and I think you might be going to that one, Jacob.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'll be when we launch, because we're launching a zero waste facility in Brazil. That'll be awesome. That'll be in the summertime. It depends kind of on how long this quarantine lasts.
Yeah,
and then so then we'll do it in Portuguese, and then we'll come back up here and we'll do another one. Yes, in English, because that's probably the best option for most of the people who work in the United States.
That makes the most sense. But I think that our goal should be to do it in every language. Let's get the training done.
My definite goal is to go to every time we launch a new facility, we go to the grand opening, we participate in the Sustainable Development Goals in whatever language that is, and then we learn more. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. The Farsi one's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
So you know about Sustainable Development Goals. They are from the United Nations, and I think they came out in 2015 is when when they announced. And this was part of the global goal of the United Nations for where we're headed in 2030, right? In order to make the world a better place.
Targets, right? It's like here's some things that we're going to go for and we're going to make happen by 2030. And how are we going to do it? Let's work together to get it done. And And so today we're going to discuss
what those are.
Less probably about how we're going to get it done, and more just teach you what they are so you have a better understanding of that. To give a really brief, quick overview, the basic idea is that if you teach people about the Sustainable Development Goals and then you ask them to pick the ones that they feel like they can help with and commit to, then those people or those businesses or those organizations or whatever, they work on those specific Sustainable Development Goals in order to kind of help bring those into the community and into what they're doing and into the world. And if you get enough people doing that, then that's how we as a community, a worldwide community, can help make some, if not all, by 2030 of these happen.
See, that's great. I'm glad you touched on that because there's 17 of them. And so when people learn about them, they're like, do I have to do all of these things? Do I have to do every single one? And it's like, no, these are just specific targets. And you could do, a few of them.
Right.
And that's really how you get your business set up to start targeting these goals that we have for 2030 to make the world a better place. So it's really about choosing those ones that in your arena you can do. And I think what's really exciting about sharing this with our audience is that, we've been on the air for a year. We've done a lot of environmental episodes, but talking about the Sustainable Development Goals opens up all of these other categories that we're going to be able to start exploring on the show.
Yeah, and because we talk a lot about how for Biofriendly, it's more than just saving the environment. It's sustainability. It really does. If you open it up, it goes across all spectrums. You can apply sustainability to almost anything. And I think that the Sustainable Development Goals are a great place to start to show our audience and people, the world, because the world needs to know. Yeah, how the UN has kind of thought about it and what they're working on. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the 17. I'm just going to like rapid fire, like pew pew pew. Here they are.
Go just one at a time and blast them.
Is that the better way to go?
Oh, let's surprise them. It'll be like
okay.
No, I mean if you don't want to,
I think you're right. I was thinking quick fire, but you're thinking no, man. Let's take our time.
Let's dive in. We got 40 whole minutes.
No, we actually have already been going for 13 minutes, so now we have a solid whatever the math is on that.
We talk for so long. It takes us forever to do anything.
Yeah, we're the best.
Tangential, but worth it.
But worth it. Yeah. Okay, goal number 1: no poverty.
That's pretty straightforward, right? I think we get it. I think for most people, and if you at home can think of a way that you can personally apply any of these to your life or help with some of these goals, then you should. You absolutely should. But no poverty, obviously. If everybody had the resources they need and the money they need to survive, then the world would be a better place, right? So, obviously, this goes into economic sustainability in a lot of ways. Like, how can you make sure that everybody's got an opportunity to work, to exchange, to get money, to do their part? And if you, for whatever reason, can't work, then how are you being supported, and how can the community do its part to help?
Exactly.
To help get you back on your feet so you can work, or to provide you some kind of exchange for doing what you can do. Because in this day and age, it's a lot easier to work than it used to be because there's so many digital options.
Yeah, there really are. And we're learning that now more than ever.
Yeah.
So the slogan underneath No Poverty says end poverty in all its forms everywhere. And children make up the majority, more than half.
Right.
So we have made some huge improvements on poverty in the world since 1990. There's been a lot of statistical improvements, but we still have a long way to go. But that is number 1.
And children is an important point, right? Because for children, the work aspect doesn't quite make sense a lot of times, right? Because they're
right.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna send a 5-year-old into the coal mine. I mean, that's for us old people to go in the coal mine.
Yes. In the olden days, they did do that, but then they figured out,
but we don't do that anymore.
No.
And that comes down again. We can spend a universe of time going into what could be done to help get children out of poverty, because there's a bunch of reasons, but we're not going to dig too much into that now because we only have 20 some odd minutes.
Yeah, we're teaching you, because I want you to, once you leave this episode, to go like, okay, I have a good idea of what the 17 SDGs are. So that's what it is. And then as we go in new shows, we're going to dive into a lot of these.
We're going to dive.
Yeah, we're going to dive. Lots of diving. So number 2 is zero hunger.
Obviously, go ahead.
End hunger, achieve food security, and improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Those are the points of zero hunger.
And we've talked about some of these. We talked about sustainable agriculture a little bit.
We have, and zero food waste, and absolutely, we've touched on this.
Yeah, this is obviously an unimportant one because nobody cares about hunger. Right?
Everybody's, totally. I mean, we all know how important it is to get some food on the table for everybody.
Right.
So that's a big one.
So we have divin before we have dove.
We have divin.
Dived. we have divin into this before.
Yeah, but that's one of the subjects that we've touched on.
Belched on the air, Jacob.
Well, what better topic than zero hunger to give a
belch? I just wanted to be fair with everybody. I'm a little bit under the weather, believe it or not. I've been struggling with a cold, sore throat.
Oh no,
sore throat, kind of coming into my upper respiratory.
Oh God.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure you're fine. Stay at home for the love of all.
I have been.
Good.
I have been. I've been doing my part on that, where I don't. I've not clogged the hospital because it doesn't. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's not great. I'm a little lethargic, a little tired, but I can deal with it at home so far.
We're hoping
changes, if that changes, Jacob will let you know. Yeah,
I'll be sure to let you. So we're hopeful that Noel just is fighting a common cold, but otherwise he's taking all the precautions, which is great.
Yeah. Yep.
And that sets up perfectly number 3. I mean,
What's
you literally
3, Jacob?
Good health and well-being for people.
Yes.
Good health and well-being for people. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages.
Yeah,
that's important. All ages.
Yes.
Which is part of the conversations that we're having now.
Kids count. Children count. I know we often think that children don't count, like they're just kids. They don't matter. Yeah. But actually,
and the elderly count too. That's really important.
They don't count. What? Old people and children count? Oh goodness.
Both of them count.
Yes.
So that's number 3. So we're doing all those precautions right now. Now, number 4 is quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all.
What's so fascinating about this one? It's my favorite one. I like them all.
I actually knew this one would be important to you because you talk about educating people all the time. That is a big part.
If people have data, if they have the information, they can do things with it because people are so, or they're much, people are often accused of being morons, idiots, twits.
Especially us.
And I, of course, agree. No, I'm kidding.
I support those accusations.
100%. No, but but most of that comes down to what has the person been taught, and have they been taught it in a way that they can actually grasp the data, right? So if people actually have education, they actually understand more things, then they can apply those things to their life, and they can use those things. And if you have education, most of the other problems that we're dealing with the Sustainable Development Goals get solved, because people who are educated find solutions, and people who find solutions aren't poor, aren't hungry, have better health, can help other people with health, are more helpful, know how to help others. It's a big one. It's a big one. It should be number 1, 1A, 1B, 1C. I mean, it's number 4, which is solid. Yeah. But it's a big one because it's with that the solutions for the rest to come. I'm sorry, I'm diving too soon, Jacob. I'm diving too soon.
You love to dive. You're a deep diver.
Diver.
Well, no, I knew that one would be important to you because if you are a fan of the show and you've listened to Noel before, it oftentimes circles back to education and teaching people. And I mean, that's one of the hearts of the show. That's what we're all about, which is just informing people. And the cool thing about the Sustainable Development Goals for our audience in particular, I think, is that we're now able to take you a step further. You've already been doing the little things. These are like bigger picture items that you can start thinking about in your home and in your community.
Yeah. So. And another little aspect they put in there that's important is it's not just educating people. It's educating it's providing education that anybody can have, right?
Yes.
That is available to anyone, which means more than just making sure it's available to all races, all cultures, all creeds, all genders, all everything.
Right.
It also, and ages, it also means, can you present the education in a way that people will learn, right?
Yeah.
Because so much of the problem you have with education is that with education comes new concepts, new words, and a lot of times people don't know what any of that is, and they give up. Like, I don't really care about this. I don't want to know about this. So you have to find a way to present education in a way that people will receive it. We do it in the podcast by hopefully making you laugh now and again, and by not making the concepts too complicated if we can.
We're sneaky. We're sneaky educators.
Yeah.
The sneaky educators are playing at the Wiltern.
They're my favorite. They're my favorite.
Best. So goal number 5, gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls.
Yeah.
So that's a very important one. I know.
And this one gets, thankfully, a lot of attention, particularly in the U.S. right now. There's been women have been fighting for this for a long time, and very recently have been fighting for it in a big way, and they should. And those of us who aren't women, just be aware that you can help in that fight. You can be part of that fight. Just because you are a male doesn't mean that you can't support females in equality. Yeah,
absolutely. Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. Ensure
we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't.
No,
who cares?
Cancel 6. We're gonna cut 6 out of the thing.
We got to save some time, so let's move on. No, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Clean water. We know from early on when we got a chance to do the shower strike for Well Aware, and we learned so much about the importance of clean water and sanitation globally and how big of a deal that is. So we've talked about this subject before, but it is an important goal on the list.
Yeah,
right?
well, and sanitation, right? So part of that's also the clean area around you, right? How is the environment being cleaned, right? Where's all the garbage going? What state is everything? Is there coronavirus on every single on every single metal surface that's out there, or are people actually taking the time to make the area clean, right? So it's important. It's a thing that I think you take for granted a lot of times when you're in a community that's a little more affluent. If you go to developing countries and you go to places where there's too many people and not enough of them cleaning or keeping up with cleaning or cleaning up after themselves, the smell and the disaster that this causes for so many other of the sustainable development goals is palpable. So it's clean water and the ability to use that to keep a clean environment I joke that it's not important. It's incredibly important.
It's incredibly important.
Yeah.
They know you're joking. They know Noel by now.
I hope so.
They know he's a rascal. He's a so-and-so. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Well, we touch on this a lot. Because we have a lot of the conversation of environmentalism and being biofriendly is about that affordable and clean energy, from, the reduction of air pollution that we do with Green Plus, and then all the things that we've talked about, from solar power, water power, wind power, renewable, the electric, but making sure that the electric comes from a good source, so it's a big thing for our program.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating topic because it's 100 years ago.
Right.
This would not have
it's not even a subject, right?
Not there. That's not a thing, right? But now, not only is it a thing, it's to some degree the cause of a lot of the other problems.
Yes.
Right.
It really
is dirty energy that costs too much, right?
Yeah.
One thing we support is what they do at Helios Altus, a company my brother founded and supports very heavily. Is providing energy to places where they've never seen it, right? Where it's never been. Yeah. Because believe it or not, those villages exist. There's places where they don't have power. They don't have light at nighttime. They use kerosene lamps still. And And if you're going to get those areas going, then let's find sustainable options for even those people right away. Like what's so great, I think, that people aren't looking at is if we do this right, then developing countries can skip all of the steps that we had on the way up and just go straight to clean energy.
Right.
Which would be kind of neat, right? Yeah.
That would be super cool. It would be super cool. Goal 8, that's where I am. Yes. Goal 8, decent work and economic growth. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all.
So that means no coal mines, or at least if you're going to be in a coal mine. If you're going to be in a coal mine, have the tools necessary so that you don't die of black lung.
Yeah, exactly. So basically making sure that your labor rights are protected and that you've got a good, safe job and that we're looking after you and making sure that you're, while you're contributing to our economy, that you are also taken care of as well.
Right. And this one really ties into number one in a big way, because if you have decent work and you have economic growth, not only are there more jobs available for anyone and more jobs for people who would struggle to get certain kinds of jobs, but you're also able to support people who literally just can't, right? Like children, like very old people, people who are disabled. So anyways, they do tie into each other to some degree. Yeah,
you can see how all the 17 goals are starting to kind of weave this thread all the way through just humanity at large, and how if we start to incorporate these, how much better of a world it will be. Goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
These are very. This sounds like our British characters from the early on. The industry, innovation, and infrastructure.
There's all the base necessary. I can't do the voice while I have this. Whatever it is. I tried to do the voice and I went low and it hurt.
It hurt. So I hope you have water nearby.
What kind of dumb goes into a podcast with a throat problem and doesn't bring water?
Well, and I just remembered, by the way, this is what's so funny. Last week's episode, which was our last one together, you had to cough and you were like, I didn't want Jacob to think that I have anything.
And I probably did. Oh, Jacob, if I gave you coronavirus, I'm so sorry.
The good thing is I feel okay. So I don't think you did. I think you're okay. So it's probably
been 10 days since we saw each other?
It's been a while.
So we're close to the 14-day max. So hopefully in the next 4 days, nothing happens to you.
I'll let you know in 3 or 4 days. Yeah. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Again, you know what's exciting for me is that I keep listing these things off and I'm like, man, we talk about this for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Innovation and new ideas. Remember refreezing the Arctic?
Yeah. Innovation, baby.
or cloning mammoths. That was one of the ones we did. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I mean, because if you haven't picked this up by now on the on the podcast today, we have been about the Sustainable Development Goals the whole time. We've just been sneaky about it. Now we're getting more obvious so that so we can open up some topics a little more freely for you in the future. But industry is not a bad word. It's not a bad word. People sometimes think it's a bad word because you think of corporations that take advantage of it and are irresponsible with the power they get sometimes in industry. But that's not what this is about. This is about making responsible industry. This is about encouraging people to be more innovative. With innovation, a lot of these problems get solved, and you get innovation by people being out there and working. And infrastructure, that's how you can make it all happen. I mean, the reason that we have kind of a hard time switching to an electric world with sustainable energy is because of an infrastructure that's in place, right? Yeah. And that infrastructure has worked for a long time. It's less workable now because of how many people there are and how much energy we use. But to change that, you need to put that as a focus, as a point that we're looking at. It's like, how do we get a sustainable industry with sustainable innovation and a sustainable infrastructure?
I love it.
I'm probably diving too much. How much time do we have? Are we going to make it?
I think we got to get through these next 7 pretty briskly. We're doing okay. I think we're getting close to the half-hour marker, but this would be we might have to all right, we're going to churn through these last few, but I still want to hear your point of view because I love to hear it.
Okay.
Goal number 10, reducing inequalities.
Reduce inequalities.
So reduce income inequality within and among countries. So it says basically sustain income growth of the bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than the national average. This goal, known as shared prosperity, is complementing SDG 1, the eradication of extreme poverty. So this is just basically finding a way to help with that income inequality between a lot of the people that are on the bottom and in the middle. This isn't meant to be a hot button topic. This is more just about helping the world come out of that sustainable development goal number 1, reducing poverty. You know what I mean?
Right. There's a lot of cultural issues in place that take time to confront, and this is basically saying we have to confront it. We have to look at it. We have to we have to start looking at what this is. Start looking at the facts and I mean, look, opportunities. I mean, that's what America is all about. Is just the whole concept of opportunity, and let's have that opportunity be open and available to everyone. And I know there's some thought out there that it already is, but if you dig in deep, you can see that there are reasons why it's not. And there's a few things that need to be altered. There's a few things that need to be shifted, and there's definitely some mindsets that need to change in order to make this truly happen. But and that's why it's there, because it's got to be something that's confronted and looked at.
I agree. Goal 11, sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So this is all about the housing, safe and affordable housing, really helping with people that are living in environments that are not safe or sustainable places around the world. So another difficult and challenging problem to confront, but it ties again to the last one and to one, poverty. So again, it's all linked together.
And for me, I think that, personally, I find that in this topic, you look at something that's changed recently, and it's that neighborhoods, the support of neighborhoods, people actually meeting their neighbor, talking to their neighbor, getting to know who lives with you, who's there. Can you borrow an egg, right? This is all.
Or some toilet paper. Could you borrow some toilet paper?
Right.
That might be helpful.
And one side effect of this current disaster is that people, I've from a safe distance, and not currently because I'm sick, but before this happened, you see a neighbor, and you wave across the street, hi. And there's so many people who live here I've never seen before in my life. And they're walking with their dog and their kids, and they're there's people here, and it's good, and we help each other. My wife went and bought groceries for our neighbors across the street who are elderly, and she didn't want them to go into and this is what we got to do for each other. This is part of beyond just technically making a sustainable city with solar energy and all. That's part of it, right? But on the social end of it, a community. Right, a community which is the other aspect of it is how do we, how do we make it so that the people are there being sustainable with each other socially. Yeah,
I know when we've been going on walks, I'll see somebody from afar that I've never met before, but there's always this smile on their face. They're seeing another person, and I saw somebody the other day on our walk, and I just said, "Hello, fellow humans," and they're just so happy to just have another face to see besides whoever that they're with,
Yeah, totally.
So
totally.
It was great. Yeah. Goal number 12: responsible consumption and production. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. So we definitely do this one. Talked about food sources that are being made, how they're being created, how we consume them, how they go back into the earth. So this is a topic that we know.
And also beyond consumption of foods and things like that, it's consumption of anything, right?
Yeah, you're right.
How are we?
Clothing,
how are you?
Everything.
Yeah. If you're producing iPhones, you're consuming quite a bit of plastic. You're consuming quite a bit of oil to make the plastic, but you're consuming a lot of metals. You can So how do you find a way to do that in a way that's responsible, right? Yeah. And then how do you then produce that in a way that's responsible? So this actually delves into. It's funny. A lot of these relate, right? I mean, this is kind of part of industry, innovation, infrastructure. This does affect economy. This does affect poverty. I mean, they do affect each other. Yeah. But this one, by focus, is specifically how do you as a business, how do you produce things in a way that's sustainable. And oftentimes when you're dealing with companies and the sustainable development goals, number 12 is like a given. Like number 12 is one that pretty much every single one of them goes, okay, we can do something here. And that's one of the great things about these SDGs is they when a company embraces them, like that's one of the first immediate things that happens, and that does a lot for the rest of them.
This next one we could probably just skip because we barely touch on this one ever. Goal 13 is climate action, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
Not a thing. We solved it.
Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts by regulating emissions and promoting developments in renewable energy. That is literally like what we've been doing this whole time. So that's a big one. We're actually going to. Go ahead.
I have no comment on this. So we don't have to dive.
Actually, because we don't have much time left, we could just basically say, you get it, climate change.
You get it, yeah.
Goal number 14, life below water. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. That's an obvious one.
We talk about this one a lot, too, because of how much I love coral reefs. But, yeah, man, fish, whales, dolphins, mollusks, plankton, and then seaweed.
And then number 15, goal 15, is just taking it above water, life on land. So that's humans, that's animals, everybody.
You know, and obviously humans are part of life on land, and we're included in that, but I never do include us in that, even though we are, because I feel like we are the first species ever to cause mass extinction of other species. So
right.
So we
kind of owe it to everybody else to be like, we'll clean things up, okay?
Right. So we're exactly. And this is basically we as a species taking responsibility for what we have done to the others, both below water and above water, and then they're separated so that we can be clear on which one you're working on if you want to focus. Right. Exactly.
Goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions.
Now, when Superman was alive, this wasn't a problem. But now that Superman is moved on to other galaxies,
right?
We got to deal with this ourselves.
For those that are watching, I'm drinking out of my Superman mug, so I presented it as he said that.
Superman is Jacob's favorite. Superman is Jacob's guy.
Absolute favorite. He's my guy. So promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels.
Again, this is one of those ones that if you are in a more affluent community, and many of our listeners are, it's not as obvious that this is a problem as it is if you leave where we are, right? Because we do have strong institutions in our cities, in our states, in our country, in America, and in a lot of the countries where we broadcast. In other places, it's not. I mean, you've got institutions that are corrupt. You've got the people in charge are bought and use military force against its own people, right? So like you can't have that and expect that you are going to have a sustainable culture. So in order to have true peace and true justice, you need to have strong institutions, and those institutions need to be accountable and need to be responsible and need to work for the people. So
I agree.
That's something that exists in some places but does not exist everywhere, and it's something that we need to support and we need to help make happen, because with that, again, all the rest of them become easier. Because if you don't have that, you're going to get poverty. You're going to get hunger. You're not going to have good health. You're not going to have quality education. You're not going to have gender equality. You're not going to have any of these if you don't have,
And I think that
peace, justice.
Exactly. I was going to say you're spot on that these all, like, as we get to the end, they kind of speak and harken back to where we all started and say all of these together to reach this goal here.
Right.
So we actually, so if this ticker clock is right on our recording audio, we're close to the end here, and we have one last goal to go.
Okay.
So if we lose our video on this, then the podcast will have the full version of going all the way to the end, but the video will cut off a little bit at the end, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So those of you who are watching video, listen to the podcast online, and thanks for watching. Ding.
Ding. Yeah. But now, if you're listening to the audio, we can keep going for the very last goal, which is, because it's still recording, but we'll see. Goal 17, partnerships for the goals. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So that's all of us working together.
Right. And this is the one that that the United Nations, UNITAR, and the CIFAL organizations across the globe work most towards. Right? Is how do we get partners to commit to this? How do we get people to come in and say, we're in, we want to help, we are part of this, right? So like the first thing that we as an organization did when going into this training is we said, well, okay, 17 is one of our commitments. We are a partner. We are part of this. We're going to do our part to help. We're going to show these on the podcast and explain these, right? Like we're in, right? This is kind of, for a lot of these organizations, that's kind of the number one thing is by saying, we want to be part of this. We want to be trained. We want to get in on this. You're kind of committing immediately to 17, and then you pick which of the other ones are going to be your focus. And as you can see, a lot of them tie in. So there's often, depending on what your industry is and what you do, you can have 4 or 5 of them, and they all kind of meet in with what you're up to, and you can really make a huge difference in those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I'm actually really glad we did this because, one, it shows our audience that we've already been talking probably about 60-70% of these goals, but we're going to be opening up a lot more to the things about ending poverty and the other things that we hadn't gotten a chance to really speak to yet, and child education and whatnot. There is a Sustainable Development Goals app out there. It's called the SDGs in Action app, and it's on iTunes. It's on the Apple Store. It also looks like it says Google Play as well. So that's a cool tool if anybody would like to go download that. We saw a demo of it when we were at Green Biz. But yeah, that's a cool way to kind of learn more. There's videos and teaches you how to do stuff.
We also took a fresh picture of ourselves on the Sustainable Development Goals couch, which you can see on our Instagram.
Yes.
If you follow us on Instagram.
Yes. You
at
should.
Biofriendly Planet.
At Biofriendly Planet. Well, I think so. It says it's still recording, which I was told 40 minutes is all we have. So who knows? But
you were lied to. I was lied to. It was false information.
Or Zoom is just being really a bro right now and totally letting us just keep going.
I wonder if because of the disaster, if they're offering some kind of premium service for free.
I've wondered that as well.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. This has been the Biofriendly Podcast remote style.
Yeah.
We're your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
We are not just charismatic megafauna.
More than parasympathetic nerve activity?
Greater
parasympathetic. I'm never going to be able to get that one. Nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
And then what was the one we did last week? We added one, and I've already forgotten it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. At this point in time, we forgot it.
We need to write these down. Well, I guess, you know what? Maybe we only have 4.
Half the fun is we might only have 4.
Well, the other ones are
we have
transient.
a new one that we added from our new guest that we haven't aired yet that was recorded before we left. So maybe that was it.
That's right. That's it. So we got to listen to that one, then add it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 4.
I think so.
When we're done, we'll have 17, just like the SDGs.
Exactly. And in the Smithsonian, they will list our annual tags as and then in the year 2020, number 3 was nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, until the next time, this is the Biofriendly Podcast signing off.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.